Are you currently suffering with a sore knee and you're wondering whether it would be better to use ice or heat to soothe it? If you are, then today's video has the answer. Hi everyone, my name is Harlow and I'm the Over-Fifties specialist physio here at HT Physio in Farnham. And today we're going to be talking about whether you should use ice or heat on a sore knee. Now, before we go any further, I just want to ask you one really quick favour, and that's if you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing to the channel, then that really helps me to reach more people. But before we talk about whether to use ice or heat, first of all, we need to say, when it comes to a sore knee, there are many different things that can cause it. And depending on what's causing the sore knee, that often determines whether ice or heat would be better. So for that reason, it's usually a good idea to go and get some individual advice from your local medical professional. Now, to give you some advice about whether to use ice or heat, we first need to understand what these two different modalities do. So ice is obviously very cold, and what the cold does is the cold helps to basically dull the transmission from the nerves in the area of the knee. Now you might be thinking, well, why is that relevant to a sore knee? Well, if we've dulled the transmission from the nerves, that means we feel less pain. So in that way, ice is actually nature's natural painkiller. It's one of the best natural ways we can use to reduce pain. So if pain is your main problem, then ice is often a pretty good way to go. Now, the other thing that ice does is ice reduces the swelling in an area. And the way it does this is by causing the blood vessels in that area to close down. Okay, we call it to vasoconstrict, which means that the blood vessels are constricting. So quite literally, they're becoming smaller, they're tightening up like this, and less fluid can leak out of the blood vessels. So that means the swelling starts to disappear as well. So in summary, if you have a sore knee and your sore knee is just painful, it moves pretty well, but it's very painful, and it might be a little bit swollen, then often ice is the best way to go. Now, this is often the best idea for things like patellofemoral pain, which causes pain and swelling around the front of the knee. This is often a really good idea after you sprain your knee. So if you've tripped and you've twisted your knee and it's swollen, ice is often a really good thing to do as well. If you've had a really bad knock on the knee, so you've bruised it quite badly, or you've landed on it, then ice is also usually the best way to go. Now let's talk about heat. So heat is another thing that can work really well when it comes to sore knees, but for a slightly different reason. So for heat, it works in a different way. Now, we said before that ice causes the blood vessels to constrict. Well, what heat does is it causes them to widen. So it does the opposite effect. It causes them to vasodilate, which means they dilate. And what that causes is a better flow of blood to the area. Now, this can do a couple of things. One thing it can do is it can actually help to speed up healing, because blood flow brings nutrients to damaged structures. And if an area in the knee, like the meniscus, for example, doesn't have much blood flow to it, it can take a very long time for it to heal. So that sort of begs the logic that if you put heat on the knee, on an area that it doesn't tend to have a very good blood supply, then you can bring more blood flow to it and speed up healing. Now, the other thing that this vasodilation can do is it causes the muscles to become slightly more flexible as well. And it's not just the muscles, it's also the tissues, like the capsule around the knee and the ligaments. It causes them to be able to move a little bit better. And what we often find is for someone who has an injury, especially a long-term problem like arthritis or a meniscus tear that can take a long time to feel better, the muscles and the tissues around the knee start to tighten up. And that can cause a feeling of stiffness, okay? So if stiffness is the problem, if you apply heat to a stiff knee, okay, let's say that you can only bend to about there in your knee at the moment. If you apply heat to the knee, I can almost guarantee that after about 15 minutes, you'll be able to get an extra 10 or 15 degrees of movement. And nothing has changed other than the heat causing the muscles and the tissues to relax. It causes better blood flow to the area, which means that everything can move a bit better. So when it comes to heat, you're better off using heat on a knee that is a bit sore, but also very stiff. Now, the reason we wouldn't always go straight for heat is because sometimes there's quite a bit of swelling around the knee. And if you put heat on a swollen knee, the swelling might get worse. So, for example, if you've just fallen or you've just twisted your knee and it's blown up like this, you're not going to put heat on it because that's going to make the swelling get worse. But if you've had a problem for a few months and there's no swelling, but the knee just feels stiff, especially in the morning, then often I would recommend people start off with heat. Now, it's not an exact science. Some people prefer ice, some people prefer heat, and it goes against the advice I've given, which is fine. But both of these modalities are very useful. We use them a lot for lots of different knee problems. So if you have sore knees, chances are you can benefit from either ice or heat, and it's just a case of choosing the right one. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Again, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And if you've liked this video, you can pick up a copy of my book. It's called Thriving Beyond 50, and it will give you loads more strategies, tips and tactics like this to keep in good shape in your 50s and beyond. You can grab that on Amazon using the link below this video. Other than that, please leave me a comment if you've liked this video, and if you have a suggestion for another video to make, I'd love to hear it. And I look forward to speaking to you on the next one.